Alongside Olympian Stevie Morrison and former Emirates GBR athlete Hannah Diamond, I'm Todd Harris. 4 events complete with the fleet staring down the San Francisco Bay this weekend. Then it's a first for SailGP as the league makes its first stop in South America in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, followed by the annual visit to the Big Apple in New York City. Once North and South America have been contested, the focus shifts to Europe with showdowns in the UK, Germany, France, Switzerland, and Spain. And Season 5 concludes at the grand final in Abu Dhabi in the UAE this November. Before we go racing in San Francisco, it's time to bring you up to speed on what happened in the first 4 events of Season 5.
The Rolex SailGP Championship, just 4 events down, is setting up to be the best yet. For New Zealand, after a win early in the season, it was a poor performance by their own standards in Sydney, but they came back fighting in Los Angeles.
New Zealand claimed their 2nd win in a row in Los Angeles.
Canada took home a 2nd place in Sydney and managed one better in LA by overtaking New Zealand with flawless manoeuvres and a tactical masterclass.
Brilliant tack by the Canadians.
The Emirates winning moment goes the way of North Star Canada.
For Denmark, their event came to a close early when they collided with a race mark.
Oh, that's a disaster. That is an absolute shocker.
With significant damage to their F50, they are unable to race in San Francisco. And the question now is, when will they return to racing?
The 3-time champions Tom Slingsby ruins the day for the Brazilians.
Australia scrapped for every point in Los Angeles, denying Mubadala Brazil a race victory and Emirates GBR a spot in the event final after a late comeback.
So the Brits claim the win in race number 7, and now they sit and wait.
After an unfortunate pre-race capsize in Sydney for the United States, they were relieved to make the start line for their first of 2 home events in LA.
Brilliant race for the US team here. They come round the outside.
After painful penalty points, they'll be looking to San Francisco to chip away at the standings and move up from 10th place overall. Spain have been consistent across the series so far, but perhaps they are lacking that killer instinct that we saw in the grand final last year in San Francisco. A 5th place in Los Angeles leaves them just 6 points from the podium.
With 10 points awarded to each event winner, we can confirm the current season standings have Emirates GBR on top with 34 points. The 3-time champion Aussies hold down 2nd place, and the Black Foals of New Zealand are in 3rd on 29. Last year's champion Spain reside in 4th overall, 1 point clear of North Star Canada, who round out the top 5. 6 through 10 has France, the Swiss, Red Bull Italy, Rockwell Denmark, and the US SailGP team. Mubadala Brazil and Germany Deutsche Bank bring up the final 2 spots. Here's Stevie Morrison with the daily schedule.
Well, we've got 4 races to get things underway for the 11 teams today. 3 more qualifying races tomorrow. 10 points are up for grabs for the race winner, all the way down to 1 point for the 10th place. It's 0 if you're last. The points are going to accumulate before the top 3 teams will head to the winner-takes-all event final. Now it's time to head out on the water.
The infamous San Francisco Bay provides the racetrack for this weekend's racing. Teams will tussle for position in the pre-start and must hit the line with speed if they want to lead at Mark 1. From here, the boats take a left turn and try to sail the shortest distance to Gate 2. At each gate, teams can choose to turn left or right. Remember, the boats can only sail at an angle to the wind and must factor both the wind and the tide into their strategy. It's a bigger course than we've seen at the last few events, so boat speed will be key. Teams will have to be really accurate with how they sail the boat if they want to take the win in front of the fans in the Adrenaline Lounge.
So what was 12 is now 11. Rockwell, Denmark making contact with the marker in Los Angeles. They are out for San Francisco, so it will be 11 international teams ready to go here in San Francisco as we check in with the 4th member of our team. Here's Olympic silver medalist Lisa Darmanin.
Well, there's slightly lighter winds on the bay than we've seen in the past, but it should still be fantastic for racing. It's coming from the west-southwest, averaging around 20 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 30 kilometers per hour. It is quite patchy though, so some big differences in wind strength across the course. There's also a significant ground swell, creating some waves for the athletes to have to deal with. On top of that, there's always tide in San Francisco, so it's flooding at the moment, which means it's coming from the Golden Gate Bridge, making its way down to Alcatraz, pushing them down the course. Configuration right camera-wise, we've got the 24-meter all-purpose wing, the medium-sized jib, we've got the high-speed T-foils and the high-speed rudders. So a little challenging the light patches for maneuvers, but so far it's looking pretty glamorous for racing today.
The course for race 1 is 6 legs, axis is 260, length is 0.8 nautical miles.
And we are about set to go with race number 1, scheduled for 4 races today here in San Francisco. And there you see the 11 international teams making their way to the start box. All right, Hannah, you had a chance to look over this course. Where do you think the favorite side's going to be coming off of Lisa Darman's weather report?
Well, we're going to have some stronger tide in the deeper water, so to the right-hand side of our screen, so they might get a little bit shelter away from that. It's not such a deciding influence in these fast boats, but it'll definitely play an influence in the start tactics.
And getting close, stand by.
So we come off a minute to go. There you see the Golden Gate Bridge, the Marin Headlands in the distance as the teams now opt to get into position. And now we are 1 minute away from the start of race 1. 4 races today here in San Francisco.
Oh, it's so interesting to see who chooses to come into the start box early, who late. USA, that's a real feature of Taylor Canfield. Middle of our screen, he loves to lead back and try and control the start. The current is running from the Golden Gate Bridge down the start line. So for me, I think you're going to want to be up towards the higher end of the start line. We can see the pole predictor optimum place to start, the blue triangle on the red line to the left-hand side. Australia are out the back, already foiling with 33 seconds to go. New Zealand, they're opting to be further up the line. Canada, they're the Rolex pole predictor at the moment. That's Stra on the top of their wing, suggesting the favourite place to start, but can they execute? It's going to be a big gap at the bottom for Australia to accelerate into. All the boats look a little bit early for me, and I don't see a gap at the top of the line for New Zealand and Brazil. Australia and France are going to be fast coming in here. Switzerland trying to thread the needle, 9 seconds to go. We're watching for the red line to turn white to get things racing here. It's a big pile up at the top of the line. Australia in the middle, here they come. Perfect by the French. Delapierre's going to be gone at Mark 1 with that start. Absolute magic from the French.
As they approach mark number 1, race number 1 here at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, Quentin Delapierre and the French, they are way clear of everyone else. The sea just parted for them, and the French took it.
All the boats got so dragged up the start line there, Todd, didn't they? And just a big gap. Slingsby a bit slow to pull the trigger. I think he could have gone a bit early, but it's still good news for the Australians as we see the fleet pile around Mark 1, and it's already damage limitation for New Zealand, for Great Britain, and for the US.
So the Kiwis in the back of the pack, and watch Peter Burling work his magic. I put donuts to dollars, Stevie. He does not end up in 11th place when this thing's all said and done.
Well, great place for donuts, San Francisco, that's for sure. But it's going to be hard to find the space in the pack here. As soon as you're out in front like the French, clear, able to line up gate 2 early. I like the move by Great Britain and Canada. They've split away from the fleet. They've got clear wind. They will be able to get going fast.
You can see those boats. We're struggling with a bit of disturbed air. You've got the Spanish and the Australians there with some boats above them going a little bit faster.
Back of the screen there, Hannah, as well. Look, the US have fallen off the foils in their manoeuvre. You can't afford to make mistakes in those manoeuvres. It's just opening the door for the French. Yesterday in practice, they were flying the boat highest. They were flying the boat most consistent. So that's how high out the water the boat is. Higher you go, the faster you go, but the more risky it is.
Quentin Delapierre and the French out in front by more than 150 meters. And look at the speed on board. Miles per hour, kilometers an hour. That just translates into speed. And now they have the opportunity, Hannah. We talk about this. They get to choose what side they want.
Yeah, that's right, and they look like they're going to be turning right at this mark, and it'll be interesting to see who follows and who chooses to split away.
So at gate 2, the DP World Gate, it is France that have the lead. Here comes Australia. Looks like they are going to follow, as will Spain, winners of last year.
Would expect a little bit less current as they head towards the top of our screen, towards the San Francisco start line. Imagine you're on a treadmill, it's going from right to left, and there's slightly slower speed on the shore by San Francisco, so you're going to be able to get left to right quicker. So they're all moving in out of the tide, but Canada choose to split away. They're trying to sail in more clear wind. At least now Canada have got control of their own decision making, and they will be able to head back to San Francisco a bit further up the leg.
North Star Canada, the winners of the last event. That was last weekend in Los Angeles, the Rolex Los Angeles Sail Grand Prix. And look at this, they are rocking the colors of Rockwool, Denmark. Kind of an homage to Rockwool, Denmark, who were unable to compete because of the accident they had in LA, Stevie. That's a nice sportsmanship touch.
Yeah, just the CEO of the Canadian team was like, it's a bit of a tough call for the Rockwool Denmark team to not be here. So Canada very much just putting that on as a nice gesture, and they'll be looking for a similar performance to LA.
So the French now out in front. They are cutting across. You see the lead over 100 meters. It is Australia in second, Spain in third, and then Hannah Diamond. Look at the pack. They are all mired. 8 boats all looking for something.
And it looked like that right turn really paid off at the bottom. Canada and Emirates GBR are coming back not such on a good angle. They're not making as good progress up the ladder lines as the boats that are coming across from the top of our screen.
It seemed like an early gain left out there, Lisa. What are you seeing on the water?
Well, what I'm seeing is there's that, as usual, we have a bit of compression down the shoreline. So the wind is accelerating. It's giving everyone a good angle. If you go closer to shore, you're sailing less distance. You're also out of the tide. So it's sort of a win-win situation. I mean, the French are doing quite a good job. It's quite patchy, as I said before. So at the top gate where they're about to round, it's quite light. So it's going to get pretty interesting up the top here.
And yesterday, Stevie, to Lisa's point, we saw the Australians accelerating out of that top gate, really picking up some speed. So it'll be changing, as Lisa reports, very patchy up at that top end.
Yeah, I think for the teams approaching now, and it's a lot easier for the French and for Australia and Spain out in front. You want to do that last manoeuvre when you're in wind. If you're in wind, it's easier to do a good quality manoeuvre. So for the French now, don't try and be clever, just try and focus on the basics. You can see here Spain, they're already locked in a battle with Australia. They make a little mistake there, touchdown, hit the water. Here come France, stick a good manoeuvre, and you're going to get a big, big lead. You see back in the pack, so much harder to have any choice over that decision.
And we said where it's a bigger course, you've got to be sailing fast all the time, so the teams are going to be working really hard to make sure they get the right angle to the wind, and also they're just pushing as hard as they can for boat speed.
Interesting to see another manoeuvre by the French here, Todd. He said, boy, go. She wants to turn left. Obviously seeing more wind on that shoreline, quite a common feature. The shoreline there gives us a little bit of a squeeze on the breeze, bit more pressure, more wind, more boat speed. France happy to lose some distance with a manoeuvre to make a gain later.
But Hannah, do you think that was a smart move? Because now look at the traffic they're going into. Is that weighing into their decision-making there?
It's definitely weighing into the decision-making, but I think it's been really smart because what they've done is they've forced Australia to make a decision. Do we follow or do we split and take what might not be the favoured mark?
Here we go, early on in the race. It looks to me like right-hand side of screen, a little bit darker water, probably a little bit more wind where the French are. I think that's a solid call. Should be good news for Canada here. They've had a nice upwind leg, hands out for the Kiwis. Look at that, black foils. A little bit of a loss early on the leg for a long-term gain. They're up to 6th from right at the back of the pack and GBR. The cream rises to the top.
We talk about this as we saw that in Los Angeles. Canada won LA last weekend. Stevie, their lowest rating was a 6 on day 1, never fell below that. So you can afford to have a lower 8, 9, but you can only afford 1.
Well, you can. I think, as we say, the bigger the fleet as we get in here, it's all about that consistency, but it's consistency in all the minor details. The French have done a great job with the manoeuvres. Can they nail another good one here?
As we go on board, this is your T-Mobile for Business 5G camera angle on board the French with that new Kylian Mbappe L'Oreal marking on there, and they are having a great time out there. This is a team, Steve, we've seen before. We've seen it in Saint-Tropez. They do really excel in big wind.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to the last time we sailed in San Francisco. France had the final in their grasp, the whole season final. They had a crash. I mean, you wonder about the gremlins in Quentin de la Pierre's head. It was day 1 in San Francisco. He was on fire last year. Day 2 was a disaster. Can the French keep it all together? But right now, what a perfect way to do it, although Australia chasing them down will be a concern.
Adding some rudders. Turning up hard here in 2, 1. Coming up.
Here we go. Slingsby makes a decision. Now we're going to see who's right and wrong. About 20 seconds time. France and Australia will come back together. They're about 50 metres apart at the moment. Who's going to have made the right call here? Slingsby's on the attack.
Yes, a little for attack. Guys, stand by.
So much space where Slingsby is at the moment. He's heading away. He's going to have the right of way when he comes back together with France, but who's judged it right? Not a great manoeuvre by the Australians there. A little bit unstable, but they've held it together.
All right.
So as the Aussies right the ship and they sit in second place, did they do enough here to pick up ground? It looks like it's still going to stay around 100 meters. We go back out on the water. Lisa, what are you seeing? How do you think France looks right now? It's going to be tough for you to see your Aussies sitting in second, maybe third place now.
I mean, I think the French, what they've done really well, they've sailed quite aggressively, even though they're at the front, they've definitely played the offensive game. What they did at the top there also lines them up for the course geometry, so they're thinking way further ahead. And I mean, when you're out in front, you get those opportunities.
Stephen, when Lisa talks about course geometry, what is she saying?
Well, she's talking about you're going to have to do, you can't just sail straight up the course or straight down the course. You've got to do manoeuvres, you've got to sail angles across the course. And they know that by turning right at the bottom, they can set themselves up to do less manoeuvres up the racetrack than if you go left. Australia are going to have to do one extra tack than France, and France have planned that a leg in advance. And that sits on the shoulders of the strategist, and that's the job that Hannah would have had at the back of the boat.
And the sailors on board do have a bit of help with this, because
Just worried about the next one up the top here, him laying us not.
yeah, so there is a bit of software on board which shows kind of the mapping in advance, and because we're going to be turning left to go to the finish line here, partly your decision making is based around the wind and the tide, but also you want to minimize the maneuvers. And what Tom Slingsby was referring to there is they think they're going to have to do one, maybe three more maneuvers to get to that next mark.
Of course, it's easy when you're out in front, Todd, as well. You've got the first pick, 'cause if you're in the back of the pack, you could maybe do the optimum course, but you're probably going to be sailing in the disturbed wind of the boat in front of you. And I think that's where, when you look at New Zealand, showing us fifth right now, that's how moving through the fleet is so hard, but it's what defines the champions from the lesser runs.
So you got France coming in right there, sitting #1 right now. Australia sitting #2. See that yellow line, that lay line? They will hit that and then make the left-hand turn, Stevie, and that should give them one last maneuver as they get around that gate, but France still has an advantage.
Yeah, Australia right of way here, though. Great manoeuvre by the Aussies. They've closed the gap down. France are going to be able to cut on the inside, but they've got to nail this manoeuvre.
They get it.
Yeah, they sounded pretty calm on board. On the inside here, Spain, if they can be inside that yellow circle, then Australia have got to be careful. It is right of way France, but not anymore. On the inside, it's Spain, but the Aussies are going to get round the outside. No problem, no drama. That one's clean as Spain dive inside.
So now it's a drag race to the finish line with 3 boats. It is France out in front, Australia closing in fast. They're just going to run out of real estate here in the Pacific Ocean in beautiful San Francisco, California. And race 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix goes the way of the French as they pick up the victory, and that is your Emirates winning moment with Australia in second and Spain in third.
Oh, that was slick, wasn't it? Here we go, tight moment, bottom of our screen. New Zealand on the inside. They've got the right of way. Canada have got to give them room. Burling's going to try and squeeze around. The treadmill's pushing him onto that mark. Has he kept clear? Yes, he has. How's he done that? Harry Houdini, Peter Burling has pulled a rabbit from the hat here, and they're up to 4th. Maybe a late move by the Italians trying to dive around the inside. Could be 2 places lost for Canada, but the Blackfoils from nowhere, they're back with a bang.
We talked about it at mark #1 as Peter Burling is a master of working his way through the field. He was 10th, almost 11th off the line, and here he is claiming a 4th, and it looks like Canada will get 5th ahead of the Italians.
Unreal. What a comeback that was. All up to 4th again. Bottom of our screen, Emirates New Zealand just on the inside of the Swiss. Tricky start for Emirates Team GBR here. They need to get something done, that is for sure, as we see the Swiss. They're up on the foils. They're going to fly away. Seb Schneider, solid start, bit mid-fleet.
That's the line, right? Yeah, and 2.
And the Swiss confirming that is the line, and they will pick up 7th. Emirates GBR in 8th. Hannah, this is your former team. They started out so hot in the first 3 events. The last 2 have not been their best.
No, that's right, and I think each of the venues brings its different challenges.
Right.
So, you know, if you don't have such a good race in the first one, you've got to debrief really quickly, turn it around, because there's only a few more chances before you've got to qualify for the final.
And it's Germany, Deutsche Bank. They will claim 9th with Mubadala Brazil in 10th. And unfortunately, the USA looking for a big bounce back on home waters. They will not get it here in race #1 as they will finish in 11th place. So the Americans bringing up the rear. It is now debriefing time as they get down to race #2. Remember, we're scheduled for 4 races today, so you can turn things around quickly, but man, it's going to be quick. 4 fast races, and everyone looks to be dialed in on these conditions.
Well, look at this, the start crucial. I'm surprised how much of the fleet got themselves tucked at the top of the line there. Look, there's no room for Emirates Great Britain, New Zealand. Whole fleet in the top half of the line, and the French, well, they laid themselves back a bit, and it was just a huge lead for them at Mark 1.
Yeah, they led really nicely from there, and it's such a big advantage, but the Australians were really hot on their heels. and it's so tricky when you're in the middle of the fleet, but you can see how much easier it is to manoeuvre the boats when you've got that space around you.
Yeah, and you see that in front. Look, right-hand side of the screen, New Zealand at the back there. They chose to stretch early here and stay in the pack, and it was such a great move because it just set them up for later down the course. The manoeuvres on the French boat, Lisa said it so well on the water, they attacked the race course, they chased where the best Prix was, but that's kind of easy when you're out in front, isn't it? Middle of our screen, New Zealand, they're having to take a second guess at everything. 8th here after 3 legs, and they're just slowly chipping away through the fleet.
And you just got to keep fighting all the way around, you know. The Australians pushed so hard to keep up with the French. I think they did a really good job of pushing all the way just to leave it by a few boat lengths, but in the end it was the French that took the win.
They took the win, didn't they, Todd? And it was a pretty clinical performance the whole way round, just sailing fast and smooth.
I was going to say, it was started from the start box as everyone pushed to that right-hand side, Stevie. You said it was very crowded over there, and somehow Content de la Pierre just saw the 405 freeway open up, but he went straight on through. Emirates fly time can't get any better than that. 100% for France and Content de la Pierre, so near perfect on their flight time, and they sailed a near perfect race on race number 1 with 3 more still to come, so we'll see how they bounce back. And we now go on the water and we check in with Content de la Pierre. Content, congratulations. What a way to start your weekend off. And it all began with that start. Were you surprised to see how open it was for you and the French squad coming off the line?
I don't know if I was surprised, but I was really happy.
Content, the start was very crucial. Had you planned before the start that you really wanted to turn right at gate 2?
Yeah, exactly. It's a discussion. It's the guys on board and also the coach, but yeah, that's something we analyzed before, so we're happy to take the wide gate at the bottom.
And you had 100% fly time. How tricky is it for Jason Saunders with the sea state out there?
It's not easy for the flight controllers. I think it's challenging every season in San Francisco, but I mean, Jason is super accurate, and again, he did a really good race today.
Content, thank you for your time. Somewhere in the world, Kylian Mbappe is very happy as you bring that boat to the line in first place, the first of 4 races here in San Francisco. So the French draw first blood in race number 1 here at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. This is event 5, season 5, the Rolex SailGP Championship. When we come back, it's race 2 on the San Francisco Bay. Penalty points in Season 5 have made a huge impact in the overall standings. Every situation on the water is different, but a defined set of rules is applied in SailGP.
Rule 57, it applies at all times. So from the moment you get on site to the moment you basically pack your boat away, you know, this rule applies. So look after your equipment. So this was pre-race. On the way out to the start line, there was, you know, damage caused. So we look at, you know, how that damage was caused.
On the wing, on the wing, on the wing. Take HQ, we got a broken wing.
We decide whether it could have been avoided, and if we come to the conclusion that it could have been avoided, which we did, then there's a points penalty imposed. So for USA, you know, it's a really tough day because not only could they not take part in the racing, they also come away with some season penalty points as well. Denmark's contact, so the race mark, also fell into Rule 57. They caused serious damage which they could have avoided. In the contact between Germany and Brazil, we knew that Germany, you know, they were the keep clear boats on port, you know, could have avoided contact, didn't. But at the same time, as a right-of-way boat, you've still got to keep a good lookout. And so really, they really weren't sure where Germany were. And so when you got to the point where they really should have been doing something earlier, but they didn't. And so they also break Rule 14 because they could have avoided contact. So we then compare, you know, the Germany and Italy incidents. Germany with a clear astern boat, Italy were clear ahead, kind of minding their own business really, and essentially Germany ran into the back of them. And so really Italy were passengers in that whole incident. And so we look at that and say, what could Italy have done? And the answer was nothing. and so they don't break the all-14.
Flying carbon machines driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Great day to be sailing in San Francisco. The fans taking it all in, the Adrenaline Lounge, and much more on day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, event 5 of the Rolex SailGP Championship. So now the teams start to get ready for race number 2. It was a quick debrief. Hannah, how much can you get done in that, 4 to 5 minutes when the shore crew comes aboard, brings you some fluids and that, and then it's back out to the race course?
You've really just got to pick the main points. There's not a lot of time, and you've got to get yourself in position to set yourself up for this next race as well. So pick the key points and go from there.
All right, Stevie, and how much is the conditions of the, what Lisa reported on, that swell and that current coming in, determining where you're going to go? Because it seemed like last time everyone had the same game plan until the end. Content Delapierre said, I've got half the course wide open, I might as well take it.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised, actually. I think the teams did a pretty poor job of that in the pre-start, getting themselves that far up the line. They really overcompensated for the current. They'll have all reset that and learned from that start line, I'm sure, but I feel like that was a mistake on the athletes.
65 seconds away from race number 2 at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, day number 1. Todd Harris, Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, and Lisa Darmanin with you here, the city by the bay. The USA needs a big rebound in this one as they finished in last place. And remember, last place gets you no points, 10 points to the winner, and it's all about accumulating enough points where tomorrow only the top 3 teams will race in the event final. So here we go, Stevie, 40 seconds before the start of race 2.
Yes, USA have got themselves early back again here. They're leading the fleet back. They're going to struggle to kill the time here. Right-hand side of the screen, Canada are struggling. New Zealand are putting a more powerful displaying towards the bottom of our screen, but the whole fleet is pretty early here. We can see they're all going to have to go quite slow on this time in. I like the position of Canada, and they get the Rolex pole predictor on the top. Old Giles Scott's going to be able to wind it up on board North Star Canada from here, but again, Delapierre, he comes charging through on that French boat. It's going to be tighter at the bottom of the line this time. It's 9 seconds to go. Brazil in the middle of the line. New Zealand, the fastest boat, France. New Zealand must keep clear. The French are a little bit early. Watch for the line to turn white.
This is the umpires. France early start penalty.
Oh, they've got to drop back behind the whole fleet, Todd. They've got to get behind the whole fleet. They slowed the Kiwis up as well, and it's opened the door for the Deutsche Bank Germany team. They're going to lead at Mark 1, and they could be followed by Mubadala Brazil. It's going to be a pile up here.
Eric Heil in his 2nd season for Germany Deutsche Bank as they come up on mark number 1, the whole shot. Off to their right-hand side, Martini Grail and Mubadala Brazil, and it will be Germany and Brazil going 1 and 2 here in race 2.
Italy and USA 3rd and 4th as well. A complete flip of the results in race 1 at Mark 1. But we've seen it's a long, long race course. It's all about accuracy. Rolex sprint leader goes to the Germans, but they need to execute this manoeuvre. Australia manoeuvre way early, Todd, and look, they ran out of wind under the whole fleet. The disturbed air of the wind, a slow manoeuvre for the Aussies, but they are now in space as Germany executed. Beautiful manoeuvre on the bottom, and I don't see anything having changed here, Hannah. It's got to be all about the right turn at gate 2.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. We know there was a little bit of a right-hand wind shift in the last race, so they've got to keep an eye on for the direction of the wind, but it doesn't look like a lot's changed.
I love the parity in SailGP. First 4 events, 4 different winners, and the winner of the last race here, France, is in dead last. 2nd place, Australia, they're in 10th. So completely flipped the script here with the Germans out in front, Brazil in 2nd place, and those teams finished 9th and 10th in our first race just moments ago.
Crucial decision at this gate 2 here. I think for Germany it should be easy, but they've missed their manoeuvre. Poor manoeuvre by the Germans. They might just save it. They've turned late and they've got back on the force. Great save by the German team there. They're going to be easily set up for the right turn. I think it's an interesting decision here for Canada, for Spain. Which way are Spain going to go? Very awkward position for the Spanish. They're going to have to do 2 manoeuvres if they want to turn right, or dip all the way behind the British. Right of way, Great Britain.
Good start also for Taylor Canfield, US SailGP team. They opt for the right-hand side as well. They tuck into 4th place. Red Bull Italy now in 3rd, Emirates GBR in 5th, and Spain in 6th. And here comes Canada, winners of last event, in 7th with Giles Scott.
I seem pretty tight at gate 2. Lisa, what are you seeing? Are we more open course?
Yeah, it's definitely a more open course. It's getting more challenging out here. You heard Hannah talk about the shifts, so the wind is moving left to right. It is a lot more left, so there's a big mountain that the wind has to come over. So as that wind comes over the mountain, it's changing the direction. So definitely more to play for. And you know, if you're in that 4th, 5th position, it's better not to follow it. It is to do that split so you can get the clear air, which is exactly what Spain did.
I think what's happening here, because the wind's shifting, what that does is it gives the opportunity for teams to sail a bit less distance. You see the German team and the Brazilian team, if you put their angle relative to those ladder lines, they were just progressing up the course a little bit more. Nice shift in direction, and now for these new teams, it's quite rare that they've got the clear wind this early on in the race to actually sail the boat fast and smooth. Voice of Paul Goodison here, strategist on board Brazil. He's trying to now eye up the optimum course. Here they go. Goodison crosses the boat, Macmillan crosses the boat, Marcini Grail, left-hand side of screen, she spins the wheel. Germany have got to keep clear. Oh, that's so tight by the Germans. Whoa, that was pretty well judged by both teams there, I think. Had my heart in my mouth anyway. And right now, the Germans have put the absolute lockdown on Brazil, putting disturbed wind onto that boat. Germany will be slowing the Brazilians. Opportunity for the United States team.
Taylor Canfield and US SailGP team come all the way to the border, and then they make their maneuver. They stay on the foils, they stay in 3rd, but here comes Canada, Giles Scott. North Star Canada rocking the Rockwell colors this weekend.
Here we go, we're going to go back on board the German boat here. They've got to react to the Brazilians. Brazil have got the right of way, so Germany have to be confident of being ahead here. You can see their strategist, she's in the bottom cockpit there watching the timing of the board drop. Well judged by the Germans. We're done get a lot tighter than that, but that was pretty perfect for me. Really quite perfect. And I think, talk about here come the Canadian team, Tom. We're going to come back to live. Look, bottom of our screen, right of way green circle around the New Zealand boat. The black foils were last, or not last, but they were right at the back of the fleet again. 10th at Mark 1, already up to 6th. Where does he find that space so early on in the race, Hannah?
I think they're just so good at sailing the boat under pressure, and when they're in a slightly difficult position, you can see they stay really relaxed. I think it'd be a real shame here for the Brazilians and the Germans if they sail each other back into the fleet. They need to separate, just give themselves the space to sail the boat nicely.
So as they come up to gate number 3, it is still Germany out in front. They got the whole shot at mark number 1. They led going down to that first leg, and now they'll have the choice. It looks like they're going to go away from the shore, opting for the right-hand side, and now we'll see who follows and who splits. And it looks like Canada may have the overtake on the U.S.
Yeah, Canada got the right of way here, Todd. So the U.S. team look like they're going to try and turn inside, maybe. No, change of mind on board U.S. They just sneak ahead of Brazil, well judged. Really tight here. Italy have got the right of way. Oh, that was a tight moment, well judged, maybe. It's really tight in the pack. Canada turned towards the favoured side. Emirates Great Britain dive on the inside. Dylan Fletcher saw a chance and he took it.
Nice angle there for the bills.
Brazil are back in the pack, unfortunately, again here. Just get a little bit out of phase, like Hannah said. You get slowed up by other boats around you. Great breeze on board Canada there. The darker patch of water, they're going to be going real fast.
France still has not found a way like Pete Burling to work their way through the field. They still sit mired back in 11th place. The Australians have moved up to 8th.
Oh, it looks like the Germans have got a boundary penalty. They've sailed too wide on the pitch. That's 20 metres they're going to have to lose. And look, that's just opened the door for the Canadians. Okay, they're trying to maybe save manoeuvres further down the course, but that is an unforced error. That's pretty inexcusable.
Same for the US SailGP team. They also pick up a penalty.
You can't afford to throw away metres at this level of the sport. They've now got the right of way here. Great Britain have got to keep clear. All this does is give the boats behind a chance. That includes the black foils. That includes the roos. And you don't give those teams a free chance.
Well, Hannah, you talked about boats separating themselves, and at that time you were talking about Germany and Mubadala Brazil. It's Canada now that has separated themselves, and Giles Scott.
Yeah, and sometimes if you can find a bit of space on the course, even if the wind's not totally in your favour, just having the space to sail the boat nicely, have a bit more headspace to make the best decision.
Oh, it looks like that. We've got a tight incident coming, but just as we went off screen, the US team, I think they just had a massive incident. Top right-hand side of our screen, they got really loose on the foils, very high. Rudders seemed to ventilate, looked like they got air around the foils on the rudder, lost control. Disaster for the US team. Just got way loose there, and already now Emirates Great Britain are up to 3rd, New Zealand in 4th, and it's just a big mistake by that US team.
And they are dropping precipitously from 4th place now to 10th as they are off the foils. There you see the angle the Americans are sailing at. They've got to get this thing right.
I think as soon as you fall off the foils, if I'm right in saying, Hannah, you get big spray, the boat fills up with water, so you've got to get water out of the boat to get going again.
Yeah, not only are you having to rebuild your speed, you're also having to try and make your way down the course as well, so big loss for the Americans there.
So it is Canada that now takes over first place, as they will have a nice cross here, but they will be ahead of the Germans, who were in first. They've dropped back to second.
Right, bit of a test of strength now here. We go, Brazil are getting close to the boundary there, so they need to start heading in towards here, building speed. They're accelerating for another maneuver, and they're going to head back towards that San Francisco shoreline, but they need to start smoothing out these maneuvers because they're losing places.
Boy.
This is the umpires. Italy penalty. Port Tech boat not keeping clear. Go behind Australia.
Oh, painful for the Italians there. Carl Langford, wing trimmer, used to be on the Australian boat. He'll hate that. He's going to have to pay that penalty a little bit further back. We're going to get to see a little bit of a replay on that. You can see here the Italians, they turn the boat. They're turning onto the give-way tack. They're turning onto port, and if they're not in the boundary, a little bit too smooth. And that was a big judgment call there by the Italians. Too risky. We're on board the US. Look, mid-maneuver, they're crossing the boat. Rudder comes out. Look at that. And the whole thing lets go. Just got super loose into the maneuver there. Flying too high, too much heel in the boat as well as they cross. That's just miscommunication between the three at the back of the boat.
So now we're back to live racing action. This is race number 2, leg 5 of 6, the penultimate leg, and it is Canada that's got about a 100-meter lead. They've got another maneuver, maybe 2, Stevie, as they'll have to make that left-hand turn. Believe me, that is North Star Canada flying the Rockwell colors for Denmark, unable to go this weekend because of damage to their boat in Los Angeles. And it looks like Canada, if they can hold on to this, it's going to be a big victory for them in race 2.
Yeah, they're really well positioned here. One more maneuver for the Canadians. Great Britain there. They're basically saying with that maneuver, we'd be happy to take a second here. Trying to set up just one more maneuver. Yeah, Giles there, 1 and in. One more maneuver and we'll be into this final turning, Mark. So the Canadians, well, they've not over-celebrated in LA by the look of it. They're pretty much back on form here.
That goes with a 5th that they got in race number 1. So a 5 and a 1 for them would give them some serious points. As you look at France, still back in 11th place, the winners of race number 1. Australia has somewhat right the ship. They are up to 4th place.
Yeah, New Zealand got a little bit out of shape. They were doing well. They're middle of our screen now, sat in 7th here. It's Australia, and it's really Great Britain that are the big movers in this race. They've done a fantastic job of finding the opportunities. Seems to be a bit more wind where the Great Britain team are at the moment.
So Canada will take the win in race number 2 here in San Francisco. And as the Canadians come to the line, your Emirates winning moment will go the way of North Star Canada as they get the win. And look at this, you've got
Australia dives inside, Todd.
inside
Australia
of the
had
Germans.
the right of way. They had the right of way. He took that chance. He's passed
This is the
the
umpires.
Germans.
Penalty Germany.
They
Not
didn't
giving
keep
room
clear.
at the mark. Go behind Australia.
Yeah, that's gone. That's penalty gone in a blink of an eye because the Aussies were ahead of them anyway. But what a move by Slingsby, and another place drop back for the Germans. They'll be disappointed there. No love loss indeed. Spain up to 6th as Australia take a 3rd, and they were right at the back of the pack at Mark 1.
Excellent counter, guys.
So it's Switzerland that gets 5, Spain gets 6, and the rest of the fleet comes through. Brazil has worked their way back up to 7th. Well, not a big performance for the Kiwis.
No, they got themselves back in the race, but I think you can just quite easily get tangled up, a bit like we saw with Brazil and Germany. They slowed each other up, and it's quite hard. As soon as you're back in the pack and you're not on plan A, then you are at the whim of the other boats. Other boats can control you a bit. You can't control your decisions once you're back. So New Zealand need to get back to drawing board. 2 bad starts. Race 1, they saved it. Race 2, well, he hasn't been able to pull that rabbit from the hat.
And for the Americans, it is another dead last performance as France comes in. They salvage a 10th after winning the first race. The USA goes 11 and 11 with 2 more races to go. Steve, I said it, I think after race number 1, they're going to have to turn this thing around fast.
Yeah, but they're going to be starting to feel the pressure on them. They're making mistakes, and the mistakes are really, really hurting them right now. So, yeah, it's got to hurt on board that boat right now.
So it is North Star Canada that gets the victory in race number 2 as we take a look at the Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Canadians. Emirates fly time for them is almost 100%, just off 99.9% for Giles Scott and that squad. So, Stevie, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close.
Well, that Billy Gooderin, if they're paying dollars for winning this award, he's going to be really going home a wealthy man, because that's 2 fly times in a row for Canada and Billy Gooderin.
So 2 races complete here in San Francisco, and it looks like this. Australia on 17 points, 1 clear of North Star Canada, and Spain sitting in 3rd right now, 1 point clear of Emirates GBR, who move up with a great second race performance. Look at France. They win the first race, but at 10th, that drops them back to 5th. Top 3 teams, after all 7 races, may move on to the event final. In the United States, at the bottom, they need some points in a big-time way. So we'll see how race number 3 and 4 plays out before we wrap up the action in day number 1. Well, last week's event in Los Angeles was a Hollywood ending for North Star Canada. First trophy lift for the team in 2 years, and for their new driver, Giles Scott, and his crew, taking the win meant everything.
After Giles Scott lost his seat with Emirates GBR, it's now up to him to start afresh with North Star Canada, who are under new ownership.
We're all a little bit of outcasts and oddballs, and I think that little bit of chip on our shoulder and all of us sort of buying into that sort of dark horse mentality.
It's been almost a year, Canadian team, without standing on top of the podium. I think pressure was starting to build on Giles a little bit, you know, with the British team having such a really amazing start to the year.
Emirates GBR, they've been in the final for the last 2 events, and they make the 3rd final in a row, and the Emirates winning moment goes to Emirates GBR.
I think he probably had a bit of pressure on his shoulders.
To get beaten in your first final with Canada by someone who not only replaced you in the America's Cup, but also in SailGP, has got to be tough.
There's been plenty going on in my sailing career over the past 6, 8, 12 months, so yeah, it's nice to do well.
It has been 727 days in the making. The Emirates winning moment goes the way of North Star Canada.
Hold on, everyone. All good.
Giles he's obviously an incredible sailor. He has come into this team and he has been so incredibly humble. He has worked so incredibly hard.
That win in LA really does take a bit of the pressure off him and off the whole team, really.
Hey boy! Yeah! I mean, I think I'm utterly dependent on all the lessons that I've learned across my sailing career, through victory, through failure, the whole lot. I think if you want to be successful, you've got to be able to keep pushing forward when you do bad, and you've got to be able to keep pushing forward when you do well as well.
When you put new pieces in place, it does take a little bit of time to sort of gel together. There's a huge amount of sailing these boats, which is trust, and whether it's in sailing or whether it's in life, trust is something that is earned.
We're obviously in a good spot, just off the back of a win, but we can't sit on our hands and we can't think about what was happening in LA just under a week ago. We're already on to the next one, and we've got to try and win San Fran.
Last event last weekend in Los Angeles. Just a short time ago, Lisa Darmanin down on the water, catching up with a key member of Team Canada, Annie Hager, their strategist on the back of the boat.
Annie, well done that race. It looks like it's a full battle out here. You got to fight until the very end.
Yeah, we're definitely battling the entire way. Hopefully we can get off the start next time a little bit more cleanly, and then hopefully it won't be a battle.
It's pretty gusty, quite shifty. How's your job going at the back?
Yeah, it is very challenging today. Battling current and breeze and shift, so it's not straightforward sailing. There's gains all around the course.
And configuration-wise, are you guys happy with the setup?
Yeah, it seems like we're going pretty well. We've had a couple lineups that we think is a bit breeze dependent, where we're losing a little bit, but otherwise, yeah, feeling fast.
And finally, you've also got the current to play with. How's that changing your tactics?
We think that the current is all headed in the same direction right now, so it's hopefully there should be a little bit of relief to the shore now. There is a current line that's moved a little bit off the course now, so hopefully it's a little bit more straightforward and just relief towards the left.
Awesome, and good luck for the next one.
Thank you.
As we get ready now for fleet race number 3, Hannah Diamond, I got to think right now Canada's got to be one of the hottest teams. They have found a groove, and they are working as such a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and it's interesting how sometimes you can just build a little bit of momentum. The vibe in the team seems really good, and I think, you know, this might just be the beginning for them. They might just be up and up.
Annie Hager, the strategist on the back of the boat. You saw Giles Scott there just to her left. He's more than happy to let her do that interview with Lisa Darmanin. But I think there's a level of trust on that boat right now, Stevie, that's really showing. Yeah, and, you know, I mean, I think just the whole sailing of these boats, you've got to be pushing them fast. You've got to be making high-speed, twitch-based decisions. And I think they're all doing that. You know, Billy Gooderham, flight controller on board that. The grinders are providing the horsepower for it. And, yeah, I think a double-header like we've got here, LA week ago, that confidence, that momentum, it's such a big thing in sport, and it feels like, yeah, we're really seeing it with Canada. Paul Campbell-James doing the wing trimming for Canada. So as we come up on 1 minute to go before the start of race number 3, remember we've got 4 races today and then 3 more fleet races tomorrow. After that, the top 3 teams on points will race in a one-race event winner take-all.
Ratio is 3.3 and holding.
1 minute to go. Beautiful shot of the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance, and now we'll see how this plays out. And Hannah, at some point, I got to think everyone's thinking you got to go to the back, let all the chaos start on that right-hand side by the pole predictor, and just wait your time. Have the patience and then shoot it.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised how far up the screen they're ending here. So we know that it's going to be busy at the top end of the line, but it's all about time and distance and how they accelerate towards the line.
So here we go, coming up on 30 seconds to go to race here in San Francisco.
Copy. That's Brad Bull here.
25 seconds away from the start of race number 3, Stevie.
Well, there we are. On board the US boat there, they've slid through the gap at the top of the line, but they are early again. A lot of these boats look early. France, Delapierre, right-hand side of our screen. He's trying to weave his way through. Pole predictor sits on Canada. They've got a lovely big gap in the middle of the line. 7 seconds to go. USA winds it up, but they've got to keep clear at the top. You've got to keep clear, USA. Oh, it's going to go.
The umpires, early start penalty, Germany, Brazil, USA.
That means they go to the back.
Go behind all of the boats.
Right to the back. Great start by Canada. Great start by Australia, and they're going to be drag racing in. But Diego Botín on board Spain, he might have the angle to sail faster to Mark 1 and lead.
It's going to be 3 ahead.
Boxed up a little still?
And as they approach mark number 1 in race number 3, this is NASCAR on water, Formula 1 style, as the defending champions from season 4, Spain, get the whole shot. Canada and Red Bull Italy right behind.
Well, last time they led at Mark 1, it was a $2 million win, wasn't it, for them? So huge moment here for Spain. They could really get their weekend up and running with a good performance. New Zealand, another poor performance. Can the Spanish execute from here?
The Spain have a 3 and a 6, and the man at the wheel for the Spanish, Diego Botín, winner of season 4, Olympic gold medalist, Sailor of the Year 2024. So that was a good year. Stevie, Hannah, he's looking to repeat that in 2025.
Oh yeah, for sure, but it's a totally different thing coming in as a defending champion rather than having none of that pressure in your hands. But they've been going well. We haven't seen a lot of them the last 2 races, but they're right up there in 3rd at the moment.
Consistency pretty key here. They're coming into this gate too, so they're going to have first pick of the choice. Rockwell Canada, not Rockwell Canada, sorry, it's the Canadian North Star Canada. I knew that was going to catch me out today with the branding change. So the Canadians there sporting as a nice gesture to Rockwell Denmark, the branding. But yeah, North Star Canada, they found that space. They're going to come back with the right of way. And Annie Hager wanted a slightly better start to give herself an easier option around the course. Well, she's got it. What can they do from here?
Don't worry.
I'm ready if you want it.
4 boats out in front right now. They are going to have the perfect selection. It looks like the right-hand side with Spain out in front, Canada in 2nd, Red Bull Italy in 3rd, and the Aussies sitting in 4th.
Happy trucking.
Yeah, tight at the bottom there. Right-hand side of screen there, the New Zealand team. We're actually hearing, I've been a bit critical of Peter Burling starting. I think they're actually struggling with a slight software issue on board at the moment, and they're really going to have to fight hard out there today. Software's so key on these boats, Hannah, isn't it? If you're hitting the start line at 17, 18 metres a second, you're travelling across the line. If that software's glitching a bit, it's pretty hard to judge where that invisible line in the water is.
Well, pretty much all the decisions on board are made so much easier by the software. It's happening too fast just to do it by eye, so it'll be really tricky for them to get around this race course, even seeing where the boundary is to see where's the confine of the course.
Interesting how Australia split away, and now it looks like they might be making some gains here as they go to the border. They'll make the maneuver, and we'll see when they come back. Will they have the right of way?
Germany a bit late to maneuver there for me, Todd. They look like they really forced Brazil off the foils. It'll be interesting to see the way that goes. Yeah, Australia definitely is trying to find some space. I think, you know, to Lisa's point, it's gusty on the water. You can see the dark patch of water Canada and Spain are now in it, and it still looks very gusty out there, Lisa.
Okay, happy to roll up, Diego.
Yeah, it is gusty. I think just generally the wind has died off a little bit, so quite a lot lighter than the first race, which makes it more important to find the big gusts. And the thing that you just pointed out is you might be, 50 meters away from another boat, but in a completely different wind pressure.
Lisa, while we have you, what are you hearing for the next race? We've still got one more race to go. Is the pressure going to build more wind, or are we going to stay about the same?
Well, the forecast was good all afternoon. We were a bit worried we weren't going to get enough wind this morning, but it's come in. I think we'll see a pretty similar thing for race number 4.
Okay.
See there, Germany did get a penalty for that incident with Brazil. Left-hand side of screen on our ladder board. They've got to drop back behind Brazil. That was a boat-on-boat penalty. Another mistake by the Germans. I don't think we had any contact, so hopefully won't be penalty points, but they can't be affording to finish at the back of the fleet there. As we see right-hand side of screen, Spain and Diego Bortini's made a little gain up here, but he's sailing into that shoreline. I think there tends to be often quite gusty there. You might find wind, but you might find a lighter patch.
But the fans have turned out in mass today on a Saturday to see the best in the world compete here at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. There you see the Rolex chasing time, and it is Canada right now that is trying to track down the Spanish. Looks like the lead's about, what do you say, Hannah, about 100 meters?
Yeah, and I think you can see the difference in boat speed on board. Sometimes if you go to that shoreline, you can come out looking really clever, really smart, but it's just a bit more of a gamble whether there's going to be any wind in there.
On the wheel, it's hot here.
Right of way Canada, but Spain are going to try and block them. I think what Spain are thinking tactically there, they could predict that Canada were going to turn left. We heard Florian say Canada are going to go left turn. Now, if you want to control the lead, you take the same mark as the boat behind you, and then you limit their ability to find that different wind. The interesting thing will be the first boat to turn right here, whoever that is. It could be Emirates, Great Britain. If they turn right, they're going to be the ones that have the chance to find more wind. They're the one on the attack.
Tight there. Red Bull Italy having to stay clear of the Australians as Tom Slingsby entitled to that mark, and he gets to the inside and shuts that door down on Ruggiero Tito. So it is Emirates GBR, Stevie, the first ones to opt for the other side. We'll see how that plays out with the pressure. But you look down the middle of the course, you're always telling me look for the dark patches, and there's a lot of dark patches out there.
Yeah, you can really see it visually, can't you, Todd? And obviously my coaching's paying off for you because you've spotted that really nicely out there. You can see Spain, they're in a lovely big gust of wind. They've been able to see that. They put themselves in it. What's so interesting in these boats is you actually go downwind faster than the wind. So you can hopefully judge what you come upwind in, you can predict to go back in. And I think that's something, as a slow boat sailor like I was, that's such a different game.
This is race 3, leg 4 of 6. We've got one more race still to go. They'll go down to the bottom of this course, then back up, and then left-hand turn to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, they've got it very well locked down. I think that decision to do the extra manoeuvre by Spain was tactically a great move to actually then lock the door on Canada as we come back here on the start. We're on our AI cameras on board the bottom of the start line here. Pretty cool watching the boats come in. You can see there's no white line for the teams to see. They haven't got the graphics. They've got to use their own judgment, and it's really tight. They're all getting to the start a little bit early, struggling to judge that acceleration. We see Australia there got stuck in the pack, and Spain, well, they've shown us that if they can get their nose in front, they're pretty hard to beat.
Back to live racing action here in San Francisco.
GBR will likely be left turn, ours will likely be right turn.
There you go, that's the coach, Joe Glanfield. So he's actually on the shoreline there, and I think the coach plays such a big role in it. And you can see, everyone's mapping out these plans. You have your plan A, you have your optimum course. You know how I can do the least manoeuvres, set myself up for the most efficient route. So Joe's on the shore, just trying to keep across the basics, trying to offer that. And you had Rob Wilson, didn't you, Hannah? I don't know how much you'd have Rob in your ear.
Well, I think it's really important that you have someone with a bit more perspective. They've got a little bit more time to think about things. It's all about prioritising the information that comes into the boat, so it can be really useful to have that input.
And Joe Glanfield, the coach, two-time Olympic silver medalist, coached 2 gold medals. So there's a fair weight of knowledge being put into the boats there from the coaching booth. As we can see, he did predict it right. Australia did turn right, GBR did turn left, and now middle of the pack, Great Britain and Australia are going to be close when they come back together. But it doesn't seem like there's that big gain on the San Francisco shoreline anymore, Lisa.
4 down, 3.
Yeah, as I said, it's changing. It really depends what pressure you come in at the time. I'm sitting, you know, at the finish at the moment, and there is breeze where I am at the where I am. One thing I am seeing down on the water, I know you're talking about Australian GBR, but the way that Canada are sailing their boat, they just seem really locked in with this setup. They seem to be going faster, and that's how they're sort of gaining on the Spanish.
Lisa, I'm wondering, we know that Canada have had more time on these new foils. They did a lot of the training. Is there much sort of noise inside the fleet complaining that Canada are doing so well because they've had more time on the T-foils?
Oh yeah, of course there is. Everyone's saying that Canada has an advantage, but if you ask Billy if he has one, he says no, everyone's in the same boat. But yeah, Billy, I mean the Canadians, they just seem really comfortable. We are in a lighter breeze, so these light air rudders, the foils at the back of the boat, makes these maneuvers very high pressure. There's a lot of pressure on those foils to keep the boat out of the water.
And in full disclosure, all these F-50s are equally prepared, so no one really has an advantage as far as the tech and as far as the speed goes. But we got a great race here. This is like 5 of 6. There you see that mark. They got to go around that, and then the finish line. Australia coming in fast in third on the left-hand side of your screen. Spain will be the first ones to turn, then it'll be Canada. And look at Emirates GBR making gains as well. So we got 4 boats all fighting for a top spot.
Yeah, Emirates Great Britain was actually ahead of Australia at the last cross, so they've lost a little bit there. Australia found a bit more wind. We can see good wind on Canada, dark patch of water. Australia on the inside. They got to make it to this left turn with no more manoeuvres. That's Slingsby's plan now. For Spain, it's a cakewalk from here. Rockwell sponsored there on the board, the front of the Canadian
North Star
boat.
Canada.
Yeah. Man, I knew it was going to get me again. But yeah, the Canadian boat there coming round is going to get it done.
North Star Canada will finish in second, and the Emirates winning moment goes the way of Diego Botín and Spain. They win race 3 in San Francisco.
Australia just got to the mark. Slingsby managed to cut the corner. They're slow. Emirates Great Britain are going to try and dive on the inside, but it's going to be a bit too little too late. Some battle for 3rd and 4th that. As we look to the left on the leaderboard, and we see New Zealand, can they get an overtake on Italy to try and get a good result in this race? It's starting to get crucial for the black foils to pick up some points.
Switzerland will turn in front of them, and they all of a sudden pick up that green circle, meaning they have the right of way. Red Bull Italy, though, in front of the Swiss, and that's going to slow everyone up as Ruggiero Tito is going to try to bring this thing home in a sprint to the finish. Lisa Darmana reported there was more pressure down there, so watch the speeds go up and the Italians pull away.
Here we go, right of way New Zealand, they dive on the inside. Switzerland, they've got to keep clear. Burling's going to be aggressive here, you can be sure about that.
Pushing him.
He pushed him up and off the foils. He's going to dive down. It gets pretty wet on board the Swiss boat there. Burling saw a chance, got the overlap, pushed them up, and then he's made that overtake stick.
So 7th will go the way of the Swiss. France rebounds with an 8th.
Tricky race again for the US, Germany and Brazil. These teams have really got to take the opportunity of this bigger course to start picking up the places, because at the moment their weekend's running away from them real quick.
Yeah, the USA right now sitting on 2 last place 11s. If they hold on this, they'll get a 9th place, but that is not going to get it done. Remember, it's 10 points, and here it is one more time. Peter Burling making sure that he keeps Sebastian Schneider and the Swiss away and then pulls on off. So it is the USA that holds on for 9th place, and now the battle for dead last. It won't matter as they come in. Someone's going to get 1 point. That's the key right now, Stevie. It's either going to be Germany, Deutsche Bank, or Mubadala, Brazil that gets that final point.
Yeah, well, Tom Slingsby told us in LA a week ago, every point counts. That's what every coach of mine's told me. So they'll be fighting super hard for this 1 point, because you never know how important that'll be at the end of the season.
It will be Germany, Deutsche Bank that get that final point. So Brazil is shut out of the points there, as 11th gets 0, so 3 races down and 1 more race still to go. What a great day of racing here in the San Francisco Bay on day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. We now go down on the water and speak with Spain, the winners of the last race, Diego Botín. Diego, congratulations as the defending champions. I know you love racing in San Francisco. You guys had a great start there. Take us through that race and the conditions and how you found everything.
Yeah. I mean, we are in a 11 boats race now, and it's super hard. Getting a good start as we did, it makes things more simple, but yeah, we're not going to always be there. Our focus is on doing the small gains and see if we can get the point from today.
Florian, you seem to do a pretty aggressive job. You heard you mentioning what the Canadians were going to do. You shut the door on them at gate 3. Do you see Canada as one of your real rivals now?
Absolutely. In fact, this morning I asked CJ, the wing trimmer of the defending champions. They won LA. I asked him for a tip. He told me it doesn't really matter how much how well you start is how well you finish. So yeah, that tip helped us not only for the finish but also for the start in this one. So yeah, obviously they are sailing really well, being a reference in the fleet, and yeah, happy for us that we can push them and keep them behind us in this race.
All right, Florian, Diego, thank you so much for your time. We wish you guys the best of luck. One more race to go for Spain. They are the defending champions from season 4 as we go back to the highlights and once again the start.
Yeah, you see a few boats a bit earlier and they just left a big hole in the middle of the line for team to accelerate into. Spain, Canada and Australia, they took full opportunity there and they were just lit up at the start line so fast. Spain came flying round the top, Canada on the inside, and it was just that space in the pre-start that they managed to find, and I feel like the fleet's not starting great so far at this event.
No, I'd agree with you there, Stevie. And you know, if you can lead at Mark 1, it's obviously such an advantage. But for me, it's the boats that can crawl back from a 6th, 7th, 8th at Mark 1, minimise the points that they get, and that's going to be so important for the overall standings.
Yeah, we can see, you see that first choice at the bottom here, and still the teams wanting to head back into the shore, but as the race evolved, we saw that the options at this bottom gate, where you can turn left or right, it did open up. Once again, Spain, this was the moment they were aggressive. They turned right in front of Canada, blocked them off, and it was really quite a clinical lockdown on the race by that Spanish team.
And that was your Emirates winning moment as Spain picks up the victory in race number 3. So we've got 3 races, 3 different winners. France won race number 1, Canada wins race number 2, and Spain wins race number 3. Who will win race number 4 as we take a look at the Emirates fly time once again in the second time in 3 races? 100% as Spain pulls it off. So the standings after 3, remember it's 10 points for a win. You've got North Star Canada even with Australia on 25 points. Spain sits in 3rd on 23 as they are 4 points clear of Emirates GBR. And then New Zealand, and this is where it starts to get a little bit precarious. New Zealand, Switzerland, and France have got to start thinking about making sure they claw back 2 or 3 points wherever they can. It's going to be a tough go for the final races for Red Bull Italy, Germany, Deutsche Bank. North Star Canada and Australia leading the pack here on the West Coast, but one team who haven't experienced the California dream is Rockwell, Denmark. Damage sustained in race 1 in LA, ruling them out of this weekend's action as well, and putting a huge question mark on their prospects for the season.
And turning up in 3, 2, 1, turning up.
Oh, that's a disaster. That is an absolute shocker. That could be really bad news on board. They just tried to cut the corner on the turn. They've hit that real hard, the foil just a bit wide of the boat. Wow, okay, well it looks like no one's hurt. That's the main thing, of course, but that boat, oh man, that's not great news.
We made the mistake, and that's how it is, but I think everyone seems to agree that for the future, if you touch a mark, you should not be out of the season. It's super difficult to come back from something like this. If this was a bottom mark rounding with 10 boats where you're trying to get around in 90 Ks like we saw in Sydney, it's a different story, but here it's like one of those where you don't even look at the mark. Yeah, everyone keeps saying it's a mistake that everyone could have made, but the fact that we did it is painful. We should not do silly mistakes like that, so we have to take that on the chin, and then we got to figure out how we get it back on the horse for real. The only way to get out of this is work your way out of it. I don't know. Whenever I find myself stressed or under pressure, I tend to fix it by I start dealing with it. It only stays frustrating and stressful when you're not dealing with it, just observing it. Yeah, we just got to keep working. That's the only way we get back on the horse for real.
Three races complete and one more still to go here. Day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. This is event 5, season 5 of the Rolex SailGP Championship. Much more racing still to come from beautiful San Francisco, California. And now we have an opportunity to go down to Race HQ. We talked about it before. All the coaches are now on shore with data available to transmit to their teams. And we are fortunate enough to have Anne-Marie Rindem of the strategist for Rockwell, Denmark. They are not sailing this weekend. And Anne-Marie, first of all, I know you're probably gutted not to be out there on the water, but what are you hearing as far as your boat? And will you guys be back in about 6 weeks' time when we're in Brazil?
Yeah, it's been hard to watch the races for sure on shore, and yeah, we definitely aim to be back in Rio in 6 weeks. The whole team is now looking forward and making sure that we're definitely not making that mistake again, because that's been really costly for the whole team.
Has been costly. I guess you've got to find the positives. What are you learning sat in the booth there? Are you able to learn a lot having the time to sit back and watch the racing?
I think it's all about a mindset, really. If you want to learn something, you're definitely gonna learn something. So we're all here to watch the races and just make sure that that we get nothing lost for this weekend. But obviously we are really devastated and super sad. But also we cannot use that now. We just have to look forward. And luckily no one got injured, and that's the main thing. And now we just look forward to the next event and come back stronger. I think for a team, sometimes setback is good. It's really hard to say that now, but I think a setback is good for the team long term, and that makes us work harder and with more motivation, and then we're gonna come back stronger.
All right, Anne-Marie, and you got to be happy to see that Rockwell branding out there, courtesy of Canada. So congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in Brazil and the rest of the Rockwell Denmark team. We appreciate Anne-Marie Renner's time. The strategists and Stevie, this is a big moment for them. Obviously, not being able to pick up any points here, but man, they're going to have to bounce back and come back strong the second half of the season.
Yeah, so tough, but good to see they're trying to find some positive.
Flying carbon machines driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Beautiful day in San Francisco to take in the world's best sailors out on the water in the shadows of Alcatraz as we are ready for race number 4. Huge crowds here in San Francisco, California, the second event on the west coast of the U.S. this month. The 2025 season has already seen nail-biting action in the Middle East, Australia, and New Zealand. Well, last week in L.A., the SailGP's American adventure continues.
Looks like pure drama out there, doesn't it?
For the first time, the league heads to South America and Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Then, the Big Apple is the final stop on the 4-part Americas Tour.
Oh, that's a disaster. It was so tight.
Make sure you're in the grandstand at Governor's Island to witness the F-50's flyby in New York City. So we're set to go. Before we can talk about Brazil and New York City, we've got the matters of race number 4 here on day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, as all 11 teams now are into the box and ready to go. 35 seconds. And Stevie, I wonder if everyone has learned where to go and when to pull that trigger, because it seems like everyone's problem has been too early to the line.
Yeah, and it's Italy and Canada, they're going to have to go slow from here. North Star Canada have been on fire today, but they need a good start. USA a better position towards the top of the screen this time, and out the back it's Rolex timing that's going to be totally crucial here. See, middle of the line, the Rolex pole predictor 6 on Canada. It's Italy in the middle of the line. Emirates GBR, but Delapierre on board France again. He's going to thread the needle. Watch for that learn to turn white.
And a great start for the Americans. Perfect time for Taylor Canfield to get to that line on time, but it is France once again the winners of race number 1, and they figured it out. Quentin Delapierre very aggressive in that box in the first 3 races, and this time it pays off again like race 1 as they approach Mark 1, and it will be the French that will have the lead.
Yeah, great work there. The US team are going to slide around the outside. They've got a good position here. They haven't got the right of way, though. They're going to have to go all the way into the boundary to get space. Blackfalls are giving himself a chance now, and look how tight it is in the pack. Mubadala Brazil, good call, moving away early here, and expect New Zealand to decide to turn early as well.
France are your Rolex sprint leaders, and here we go. All right, Hannah Diamond, whose position do you like best?
Well, I think the French are positioned really nicely. Biggest change from the last race, I think the wind's definitely picked up. They're sailing much further down the ladder lines, and you can see the water's much darker where they've got more wind there.
Breeze looks good there. And I think what's interesting here is North Star Canada are going to maneuver, and they're going to come back at the US. They're going to really pressurize USA's next maneuver, so it will be tight at the bottom here as we see the Oracle Cloud giving us the live speeds there. We see France are quick, no surprise. They're out in front in clear wind. The United States are going to have a tough call to make coming into gate 2. They need to nail this maneuver now. Canada turn, New Zealand turn and get a bit loose. It's all about accuracy in these last few meters to gate 2. US stick the maneuver well there, Todd.
So Taylor Canfield now sits in third place for US SailGP, a team desperate in need of a win or a top 3 finish. It is France, though, that opts for the right-hand side. North Star Canada follows them, and US SailGP just ahead of the Black Foals, the Kiwis, with the Aussies right behind them. Oh, the Americans!
The US team, they've had an absolute howler on that bottom roundup. They got too high, they got loose, they parked it. Somehow Burling and the Black Foils managed to miss around the outside. The Australians went flying around the outside of them, and they're now going to be way at the back of the pack again. It's getting loose with this breeze filling in.
Very limited, just kind of going.
So the Americans were sitting in third, and they absolutely come to almost a complete stop. They are now dropping back to 8th place. Meanwhile, on the other side of the course, it is Spain and Mubadala, Brazil, having their own little battles. We go back and look at this one more time, Stevie. Just when you thought they've turned the corner, this is going to be a big moment, what happened?
Yeah, hard moment on the flight control there. Hans Henkeny's in the right-hand screen, as they turn out, they just get too high, and they don't control the timing. Not enough horsepower going in on that wing to sheet it back in. It gets real high, real loose. They actually do a good job getting the wing there, but they just get too high, slip sideways massively, lose all the grip on the foil, and that's just so much disability at their back. It's a great start. They were third place, they're 11th. Mistakes hurt you so badly, and that's just opened the door now for teams like Spain, teams like Australia. They take hold of that opportunity, and the Black Foils, they're showing in third right now. Good move for them. They need a big race here.
Possibly looking at a 4th different winner in 4 races. It was France, Canada, and Spain winning the first 3. Will it be Australia? Will it be New Zealand coming through to get a win here? They look best positioned right now, Hannah, from this perspective.
Yeah, they look really nicely positioned, and we know that they can sail the boat really well, so it's going to be about choosing the right strategy. This gate at the top, I think, is going to be critical because the fleet is still really compacted, so who can find space and the shortest distance around the course?
All right, we go down on the course. Lisa Darmanin has the best view. Lisa, where's the pressure? Where do you want to be, and which side do you think they're going to opt for?
Well, the wind has picked up across the course. I actually think before it wasn't very good to go out to sea away from the shoreline, but I think right now there is pressure out there, so I expect the French to turn right here.
See good wind on the French boat here at the moment. Right now it looks pretty good. New Zealand are going to turn all 4 boats. Oh, the New Zealand team, oh, they lost the rudders a bit through the middle of that turn. That was a poor manoeuvre. I think they'll be able to recover quick enough. Yeah, look, they're up and foiling again, no problem. They're going to be clean, but now it's Spain are going to be the first boat to manoeuvre away. Australia have got to be sure they're ahead. Oh, it's tight in the back, yeah. Spain are going to be the interesting one. See how Spain do relative to New Zealand and Australia here to see where the gain is on the racetrack.
Yeah, with the Kiwis coming off the foil there, it caused the Australians to slow down like a parked car in front of them, and so Spain at full speed came in, opt for the inside line. They head closer to shore, but it's still France out in front, the winners of race number 1. Canada in second, the winners of race number 2.
Yeah, Spain were over 80 kilometres an hour out of that turning there with the left turn. It's going to be New Zealand and Australia with the right of way. North Star Canada here, they've got the right of way here, but they've got a little bit of work to do if they can hope to catch the French. I think for them now, this late on in the race, they're going to just try and keep it simple, hang on to a second, and end what would be a great day. Big lefties. Talking about the wind's changed angle. It started blowing more from the top right of our screen. It's rotated to blow off that shoreline, and you can see they're nearly sailing straight down the ladder lines here. It's actually going to give France a tricky decision to make at the bottom. Do they do an extra manoeuvre and head back towards that side, or do they open the door for the boats behind? Big game for Spain. Spain did find more wind. They cross ahead of New Zealand.
So at the bottom of the course is France that goes for that left-hand side. Canada, they're going to opt for the right-hand side, and it looks like Spain is heading that way as well. They'll have to contend with the Black Foils, the Kiwis, and the Kiwis will spin it around. Australia will opt for the same side as France. So now you've got 5 boats fighting really for that winning position.
That was a really good manoeuvre by the Black Foils there. They had to do a double eagle jibe, they call it. They put both boards in the water, turned twice, flip-flopped around it. So easy to get that wrong. They made it stick, and they've now got control over the Spanish. I thought it was going to be opportunity for Spain. Perfect execution by the Black Foils.
This is leg 5 of 6 in the final race of the day. They're heading up to the top of the course on the right side of your screen. Then it'll be a left-hand turn, a quick shot to the finish line, and someone's going to take the win here. And right now, it looks like France, but look at Canada closing the gap.
Potentially just one more manoeuvre for Canada as well, do you think, Hannah?
Yeah, it's going to be close. If we look further up the course, we'll be able to see whether they can just do one more manoeuvre, because they just need to turn left at this top mark, and that could really make the difference, because France will definitely have at least 2.
So, Stevie, is this something that was set up 2 gates ago, or is this just at the last gate?
Yeah, exactly. That big wind shift made it a really hard. You either had to do a very hard manoeuvre like we saw New Zealand do, or take the simple manoeuvre as the French did. But the trouble with the simple manoeuvre, they saved an option at the bottom of the course, but they're going to give them an extra manoeuvre later on. It's always that compromise. You try and plan ahead, but in planning ahead, you probably give yourself a little bit of a problem later. So Canada's going to have the right of way. France are going to be on the inside. It's going to be really tight. It's all about execution of these manoeuvres here. Canada set up.
On course, France still has the lead, but this is going to be close. Remember, Canada's going to come in hot. They stay on the foil, so it'll be a straight shot to the gate for them.
I'm out for the boy. Let's get the pace on first. Hi, Ray.
You can hear the tension rising a little bit on board the Canadian boat there.
I think France is far enough ahead here, Top, but they've got to stick the manoeuvre. They're going to spin in front. They're going to put disturbed air onto them. Perfect. That's a great manoeuvre by the French.
Happy that all the can.
Yes, Paul Campbell James talking about higher mode. He's talking about sailing a little bit closer to the wind. Let's sail a bit slower, but try and minimise the distance. France making an error here. Oh, they've opened the door.
Yeah, they have. Look at the speed.
Canada. He's coming. Il est engagé. He's going to try and get over that. Oh, that mistake's going to cost the French. North Star Canada are going to get it done, Todd.
The Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Canadians for the 2nd time today, just edging ahead of the French.
Oh, I can feel her pain. That manoeuvre there, they just got it all wrong, the French. They'd judged it so well, they'd shut the door, but they just didn't execute it properly. New Zealand come home 3rd. Australia are going to take 4th. Spain 5th. The points are going to be so tight, and a great final race for Mubadala Brazil. Marcini Grail and team there, they've held the whole race together. As we see, bottom of our screen, Emirates Great Britain off the foils, and the wheels are coming off for them at the end of today. They've not had a great day, and they're struggling to get round this with the current against them. Could be more manoeuvres to do. Don't expect to see the Emirates GBR way at the back of the pack. Oh, this is a howler for the British team. Look at that, head in the hands there, Nick Hutton. He is not happy.
Over on points. Gonna get stuck on this mark.
Oh. Remarkably calm. We've all been there, haven't we? That's an absolute shocker. We've maybe not all been there on live TV, but that is an absolute disaster for Emirates Great Britain. Little mistakes in that thing is going to cost, and it's not been a great first day for them. They got a lot of work to do overnight.
Emirates Great Britain started off on race number 1 with a decent showing in 8th place, and then a 2nd in race number 2, a 4th in race number 3. They're going to get an 11th in race number 4, so this will be difficult as Red Bull Italy comes through in 10th, and Emirates GBR still on the course. They will finish in 11th, so day 1 of racing is now complete. Wow, that is a tough turn of events, as Emirates GBR was in contention for 7th, maybe even 8th place there, and they will end up in 11th, losing some valuable points as they will get 0 points across the board. Just when it looked like France had the win, Giles Scott and North Star Canada come through and claim the victory. They win race 2 and race 4. We now go down on the water. Giles Scott, their driver. Giles, well done, young man. Race 2 was fantastic. You guys held on to 2nd place for race 3, but you came back and won the final race. What was the difference for this team, especially after race number 1 where you guys finished in 5th?
Yeah, I mean, look, finishing in that first race is, you know, it's not where we want to finish in every race, but that was a solid start as well. So, look, we've had a good day today. Heading real clean, pushing super hard, and yeah, just got the right side of a few tricky situations there. And
yeah, Giles, you really got me on a bit of a tongue twister with the branding on the front of your boat today. But Annie said halfway through the day when she was interviewed by Lisa, we just need to get a good start. What did you change in the start? She made your life a lot easier in those last 2 races.
The first start particularly was a tricky one with the whole fleet out the top of the box, and to be honest, we didn't really change too much in terms of our approach. Just working on that time to kill and trying to do the best job with the gaps that we're given. There's a lot going on in those starts, and sometimes you get a good swing of it, and sometimes it's made a little bit harder.
Giles, appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great day of racing for North Star Canada, not to be confused with Rockwell, Denmark. We appreciate your time, and we'll look to see you tomorrow for 3 more fleet races. And then it looks like they are in position, North Star Canada, to possibly be in the top 3. Let's go back to the start of race 4.
Yeah, we talked about gaps. There was a gap in the middle of the line. France came through, but Canada had made their own luck, really, by controlling things back. And we see the gun go, and they were just meters behind the line. Beautifully judged by Canada there. Got themselves nose out in front. France had the first choice, but when you're in the pack, mistakes are just so costly, aren't they, Hannah?
Yeah, and I think it's so much harder just to sail the boat when you're in the pack, but at this level, you can't really be affording to make mistakes like that.
Yeah, just got a bit high on the mark round, and you get off the foils, the boat crashes down, and it costs you a lot of distance. You see those boats out in front? Well, it's just tight, this number of boats on the water. Everyone's making mistakes. It's the black foils. Everyone's doing that. But Spain had a very consistent day, chipping away. They were often the boat putting themselves in space, even when they were in the traffic.
And we could see just how busy it was, but a last-minute mistake by France just opened the door for North Star Canada, and they really took advantage of it.
Pulled a page out of the Pete Burling book as he pushed France wide, and then it was straight to the finish line as Canada wins their second race on day 1. Canada wins race number 4, their second of day number 1, and they get 99.9% fly time. Your Emirates fly time, Canada, nearly perfect yet again out on the water. All right, guys, let's crunch some numbers as we take a look at these stats. Stevie, Hannah, what jumps out at you most?
I think for me, it's just when you're out in the lead, it is easy to minimise that distance, isn't it? And classic for me, France are often the fastest team.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's hard to pick what's most important today, but I think it's the fact that the Canadians are 99.9% flight time. I'm surprised that's not 100%, but really consistent performance from them today.
So North Star Canada doing a fantastic job as they will lead the way after 4 races in San Francisco as we now update the 4-race total. Remember, it's 10 points for win all the way down to 1 point for 10th place. And it is North Star Canada on 35 points, Australia in second on 32, Spain on 29. And then the big gap, Stevie. We always say if day number 1, if you're in the 30s, you're feeling pretty good about making that top 3. But you need to be in the top 3 after the next 3 races, and that will be the event final. France, obviously still in the running, as is New Zealand. And you give Emirates GBR a chance, but that 11th in that last race is really going to hurt them. Let's head it down to Lisa Darmanin just moments ago on the water.
Down day for you guys, your 4th overall, but that was a pretty fantastic finish there.
Yeah, that was a good finish. Quite unfortunate on the last one, but I think we sailed pretty well, except the 2 races on at the middle. We did a few mistakes, and we are a bit far overall, but nothing done for tomorrow.
And it looks like, you know, everyone's making mistakes out here. How are you feeling your boat speed is going? I know that you're sort of catching up to the fleet.
Yeah, it's always tricky for the flight controllers here, and especially now when we are racing with 11 boats and really short racing. So yeah, it's really challenging as usual, but it begins even bigger and bigger with the boat having a few seasons.
It's a highly competitive fleet. It looks like you've got to make some big decisions around all the gates as well.
Yeah, exactly. There is a lot of meters to gain and to lose with the gates, and yeah, unfortunate on the last upwind. I think Canadian did a really good job to close the gap, and was tough for us.
Thanks, guys. I'll let you get in a debrief.
That was Lisa Darmanin moments ago with Quentin Delapierre. The French had a good day indeed. They won race number 1, a second in race number 4, Stevie. Top of the pack, really their worst race. You have to look at race number 2 where they finished in 10th place. So Spain, though, the Rolex best time start, and they have been consistently towards the top, winning race number 3. So they are going to be in the mix as well.
Yeah, great day for the Spain, but it was really Canada. It was such a good performance from them out there.
And how about this? A little bit of a glimmer of hope for US SailGP Team Hannah as they get the DP World fastest speed. They clock in at 90 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, we can see when the breeze picks up, the boat speeds really pick up to match. And that last start of the day, they really came off well from the top of the line, took that speed all the way to Mark 1.
So 4 races, 3 different winners. Everyone wants to know now, what is tomorrow going to look like? And for that, we go down on the water. Lisa Darmanin, what can you tell us for the forecast for Super Sunday?
Around hour, gusting to 30 kilometers per hour. It's going to be a little bit still left, which means it's coming over that mountain, making it even trickier for the sailors to navigate. As always in San Fran, we're going to expect tide and wind for the sailors to deal with. So I really think they're going to take the lessons from today. There'll be big debrief because it's going to be, you know, they can take those lessons into tomorrow. Tomorrow we have 3 fleet races and then we have that final. So more racing for us fans, more racing for us on the side here. So it's going to be an exciting day on Sunday.
Very much, Lisa. Before we say goodbye, a few more stats and numbers to send past you as we get ready for Super Sunday. Stevie, here are your Rolex SailGP Precision Athletes of the Day.
Well, yeah, Taylor getting that for the fastest speed out there. I think the one that jumps out to me, to be honest, and I'd give him the athlete of the day, is Billy Gooderham. Absolutely been on the money. He lost the flight controller in the last race because he got 99.9. Every other race, he was up there at 100%. Billy Gooderham, I think, was the difference maker for Canada today. They were fast, but they were most importantly accurate. All the other teams had great moments. Liv Mackay had to fight very hard in that strategy role to pick her way through from not the best starts. But yeah, for me, athlete of the day, Billy Gooderham, awesome performance.
And Kevin Peppernet, the wing trimmer of the day, you know, they had a really good start to the day. Struggled a little bit in the second race of the day, but as a wing trimmer, you've got to be able to pick yourself up and keep that back going as fast as possible throughout the day.
So, Hannah, if you had a bad day today, you got to have short-term memory and forget about it and come out swinging tomorrow because there's 3 more races, that's 30 more points available.
And we see that some teams are better at doing that than others, you know. I think they're going to have a really good solid debrief. The conditions are likely to be very similar tomorrow, so it's all about learning the lessons from today and coming back stronger tomorrow.
All right, so that will wrap up day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. Wrap up day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, event number 5 here of season 5 at the Rolex SailGP Championship. We look for great conditions tomorrow. Will North Star Canada keep their hot streak alive? Remember, they won the last event, the Rolex Los Angeles Sail Grand Prix, and they win 2 races today. France wins race 1, Spain wins race 2. You still haven't heard from Australia or New Zealand. So on behalf of Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, and Lisa Darmanin, I'm Todd Harris saying so long for now. We'll see you tomorrow in San Francisco for Super Sunday. Welcome to the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix.
Absolute magic from the French. We're not going to look tighter than that.
So Canada will take the win in race number 2. Diego Botín and Spain win race 3. Then, the Americans,
the USA,
the Canadians just edging ahead of the French.